I'm doing my best to follow the directions, Jay. You're killing me. Um, Hi, I'm Brynna. I'm an alcoholic. Thank you for asking me to be of service. I appreciate it. It's always an honor and a privilege to get to be a part of my sobriety and a part of other people's. If you're new to Alcoholics Anonymous, welcome. You are welcome, wanted, and needed. And if you're old to Alcoholics Anonymous, you too are welcome, wanted, and needed. Um, I say that anytime that I speak because I need to be reminded that I'm welcome, wanted, and needed. Because when I got here, people were not like, "Oh, it's her. Open the door, turn the lights on." They were like, "Hide your shit." Oh, am I allowed to cuss? Okay, good, because I'm gonna. Um, and if it offends you, I'm so sorry. No, I'm not. I'm not going to apologize for things that I'm not sorry for. So anyway, um, if that's offensive, well, sorry. Anyway, you can go to another meeting. Um, wow, I'm snarky tonight. I need a nap and a snack. So anyway, but when I would show up places, people weren't greeting me. They weren't happy to see me. They were locking the door. They were hiding their valuables. They were taking away my house keys. Thanks, mom and dad. Um, and uh, and when I got here, people were actually pleased to see me, and it might have been in a pitying way. It might have been in the way that we do that. Oh, you keep coming back now, sweetie, and the little pat on the head. Um, but either way, I was like, keep coming back. Okay, okay, keep coming back. Oh, okay. Because I learned how to follow directions here. But anyway, you are welcome, wanted, and needed, regardless of how long you've been around. So my sobriety date is 1/2/94. So I just celebrated last year. Last year. Mm. Welcome to my brain. Okay. So if you follow, you might want to talk to somebody about that. So I just celebrated 31 years sober. I've been sober over half my life now. Um, and that has more to do with you guys than it has to do with me because I've gotten in my way and done the not right thing more often than I've done the right thing because I don't know if it's the next right thing until way after I've done it. Um, I want to be linear about how I tell my story, and I suck at that. So, a couple of things I want you to know about me. I have a sponsor. She knows that she's my sponsor, and it's the longest relationship I've ever been in. Um, she knows every dirty secret. She knows every nook and cranny of what's going on, except what's going on this week because we missed our phone call because she had a sick family member. Um, I have a job in Alcoholics Anonymous that you guys gave me. I didn't apply for it. I was voluntold. Every single job I've had in Alcoholics Anonymous, I have been voluntold for. I learned really early on, don't get up during a business meeting and go to the bathroom. You come back and they're like, "You're our new DCM." And I'm like, "The hell's a DCM?" That's how I got into general service. I left the damn room. Um, I have a home group. It's an online meeting right now, and my home group is my AA address. It's where I am every Saturday at 9 a.m. It's where most of my time, most of my service, most of my money, and my vote. It's where my vote is counted. And I learned that from you guys because I didn't know what a home group was. I was like, what does that mean? And my home group will become very apparent, like why a home group is important will become apparent later on in my story. Anyway, so I have a sponsor, I have a home group, I have a job in Alcoholics Anonymous, I have a sobriety date, and I know what that is. If you don't have those things, please get them. I also have multiple copies of literature because a well-worn big book, a well-worn out big book tells me that I've actually read it. I still have my original big book and the damn thing's fallen apart and I just keep taping it back together. Um, and every time I go to a bookstore, I am hunting, like a used bookstore, I am hunting for first and second editions. But anyway, um, and now my cute little sponsees, my uncle used to call them pigeons. He died with 50 year or just shy of his 50-year sober. He used to call them pigeons. And I was like, "Why do you call them pigeons?" He's like, "Because you feed them and they shit all over you." And I was like, "Oh, that's so sweet." And it turns out I'm someone's pigeon. Um, but they're reading. I'm like, tell me what story you read in the big book today. And they're telling me stories that I don't know because I'm not familiar with the fourth edition. So I got, some reading to do. Anyway, so what it was a lot of fun. I don't come from an alcoholic background. That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't make me an alcoholic. It doesn't not make me an alcoholic. It just means that my parents don't drink the way that I do. My mom is one of those people who she'll start drinking. It cracks me up. She starts drinking and she says really stupid shit like, I'm starting to feel it. I should stop. What? What is that? Like, no, that is when you start hitting it harder. That is the good feels. And my mom's like, I should stop. Like, she wastes alcohol at dinner. And I'm like, that is abusive. So um, it doesn't fix her the way that it fixes me. When I take a drink, I can take a deep breath, my shoulders come down, my voice gets I'm loud. I don't know if you've got your computer turned down, but I am loud. And but I discovered my voice when I started to drink because all the things I was afraid to say out loud, I found a way to say them out loud. There's a friend in Oregon who I heard her share, and I was like, she described it perfectly. She said when she drank, she became tittier, wittier, and prettier. And I was like, bingo, that is it. That's exactly right. Because I'm 5'2" brunette. Well, I was a brunette at the time. And all of a sudden I became 6 foot and blonde with big boobs. And I was like, yes. Problem being is I was also 14 at the time. So um, when I drank, I had a lot of fun. And my like special my special spot was 8 to 10 drinks. Now, I didn't know if they were going to be this big or if they were going to be this big. So I was like, I only had one, whatever. I just kept refilling. Um, and the problem is I could see the 8 to 10 drinks on my way there, and then I would see it in the rear view. I could never stop at 8 to 10 drinks. And shortly after 10 to 15 drinks, I was naked because that's how I like to drink. I like to get naked and I like to get loud. So loud and naked together is not good because the first time I got sober, I was 15 years old. So loud, naked, and underage, enough said. We're smart people. So I don't censor how I tell my story because there's men in the room. Because one of the things that I've learned in the last couple sounds so weird, the last couple decades sober, um, is that alcohol did not give a shit whether I was female or if you're a male. We drank the same. If you came between me and my next drink, whether it was school, a person, a job, parents, any kind of relationship, anything, it had to go. And so I did ugly things with ugly people in ugly places. And I have a loving, loving sponsor who tells me the truth about things, and sometimes the truth hurts. And she explained to me that I had lower companions, and then I became other people's lower companion, and I was so offended at that truth. Um, I started to sell my body, and I did that in the rooms. I did that outside of the rooms, and I still did that when I got sober. Um, Let me rephrase that. When I got clean. For me, clean is of the body, sober is of the spirit. So the first time around when I got here in 1988 was my first sobriety date. Um, I ended up doing things that we do when we don't have a spiritual solution. And so I had a lot of fun in the beginning, and then I had fun with problems, and then all I had was problems. And we were there was talk earlier before the meeting started about take the cotton out of your mouth and stick it nope, out of your ear and stick it in your mouth, because I didn't have anything to share. I did hear that. I also heard shut up and get in the car. I heard stop spreading the mess. When you have a message, that's when you're allowed to speak. And I was like, I have a huge attitude and a huge ego. So I was like, I will talk when I want to talk. And meh, 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 meh. I learned things when I was young in the program, things like zip up your jacket, because I liked to go to meetings in a bikini top. I was 15 and 16 years old, and the gentleman who taught me that turns out to be my sponsor's father. He passed away, gosh, a long time ago now, but he was like, honey, do you have a coat? Put it on. We don't dress like that. We're not on a beach. We're in the valley. And I was like, I was so offended. He's like, do you know how close we are to the penitentiary? And I was like, oh, that would probably be a good idea. He also would say things like, if you're going to get up during the meeting to get coffee, why don't you try getting some for other people? Get the cups, get the pot, pour it for other people. And I was like, "Nyeh." But when this man told me to do that, I was like, why are your fingers broken? Is what I was thinking. And what came out of my mouth was, yes, sir. So, you guys taught me how to be of service because I was scared of him. And anyway, so my sister got sober in 88 as well, in January of 1988. She just celebrated 36 math. She's still sober. And she brought me to my first meeting after some family drama. Um, and I asked her to take me to a meeting. And when she did, she brought me to the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous and other 12-step programs. If anybody else has siblings or family members in the rooms of AA or other 12-step, what I have found in my experience, and again, I don't speak for Alcoholics Anonymous, this is just my experience. She was the right person to get me to the rooms, to bring me to the message, but she has never been the right person to bring the message to me because I cannot hear it from her. When I hear her, we turn into 5-year-olds. We are in our 50s and we still turn into 5-year-olds when we get together. We have an 8-hour sibling rivalry, 8-hour quota, and after 8 hours, we must separate. Like, we're still children. And but she brought me to you, and you guys brought the message of Alcoholics Anonymous to me. And at my first meeting, I don't remember the speaker. I know it was a woman. I know that you guys sat in a big circle, and this was the Hayward A Street Annex in Hayward, California. And it was a room full of what felt like, and it probably wasn't, but what I remember, which is never good, I remember a room full of bikers and a couple of women. And I remember one person in particular, and his name was One-Eyed Bob. And back in the day, everybody had nicknames. We don't do that anymore, and it makes me so sad that like I would probably be like old lady Brynna or something, because I take my tissues and I stick them in my sweater in my sleeve, and everybody thinks I'm like a 90-year-old Jewish grandma. I kind of am. But and One-Eyed Bob came up to me after the meeting. um Back up. What I heard was Charlie Brown's teacher. I heard want 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 want. Like, that is what I heard through the whole meeting. I have no idea what anybody said. You passed a basket. I was raised Jewish. We don't tithe out in front of everybody. We send it in an envelope to the synagogue. And so I'd never seen that before. You drank a ton of coffee, and nobody gave me a full cup of coffee. They gave me a big cup with like that much coffee in it because I was like, thank you. And I cried. And I was like, nobody knows I'm new, right? No, nobody knows. Everybody knew. Because we all know the new guy. We all know who the new gal is. And then you prayed, and I was like, culty, because you're doing culty things. I love watching stuff on cults. Like, I'm obsessed with them, studying them. And I was like, oh, you do culty things. Okay. you're a cult. And then after the meeting, everybody hugged and they were kissing, like not kissing, kissing, but like, oh, it's so good to see you, hugging, and how are you? And I was like, got it. Okay, I get it. You're all sleeping together. Okay, I can do this. I was like, I got this. This is what I've been doing for the last couple years anyway, so I'm fine. I should fit right in, you know. Um, and this big guy, I'm 5'2", and this biker who was like 6'5", with all the vest with all the pins and the chaps, like the whole 9 yards, one-eyed Bob, came up to, now he's one-eyed Bob because he had one eye, came up to me, and it was the first time that a man ever approached me. He didn't want sex. He didn't want money. He didn't want me to wash his bike or walk his dog. He wanted nothing from me. And I didn't know that. But he said, do you want a hug? And I just stood there. I was frozen. And in my head, I was like, don't touch me. I hate you. What are you doing? Don't touch me. Don't touch me. And I said, okay. And I just stood there. And it was the first genuine hug that a human being besides my family had ever given me without wanting anything in return. And he said, welcome to Alcoholics Anonymous. We will love you until you can love yourself. Please come back tomorrow. And I was like, oh shit, what do I do now? Apparently I come back tomorrow because Bob said so. And I'd never seen him again. Haven't seen him since. I heard that he died sober. And I will never forget that man. And sorry. Mm, um, he doesn't even know what an impact he had on my life. Or maybe he does, I don't know. And so I kept going to meetings. And I went for the next 5.5 years. What I did not do, I did not get a sponsor. I did not take the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous as they're outlined in our book. I did not get a service position. I did not follow Alcoholics Anonymous as it's outlined in our book. I died in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous every single day. And I didn't tell the truth. I didn't tell anybody that I was dying. What I did do is I went to coffee. I got involved in fellowship. I did a ton of dances. I did a lot of YPA stuff because I needed to be around people who looked like me, who talked like me, who did things like I did, who I recognized. What I heard in the meetings was a lot of old folks who, I'm now 52. They were significantly younger than I am now. Old folks. I was 15. I heard a lot of old people telling me, aren't you maybe too young? I spilled more than you drank. Are you sure you're an alcoholic? Because if you're not sure, you should go try some controlled drinking. And that just broke my heart. It broke my heart. And so I kept going to meetings. I went to YPA meetings and I went to late night meetings. You know, Jay, you're speaking at a midnight meeting. Fuck yeah. Because there are people who are dying that can't go to day meetings and they'll show up at midnight, you know? And so I did a lot of shut up and get in the car, and I went to meetings and I went to dances and I had some fun, but I also had some life and no tools. And and after a while, life happened, some ugly stuff happened because if I don't, if I'm not drinking, but I don't have the tools, a sufficient substitute is what our literature calls it. And I didn't have that. And there weren't women like me going, hey, how about we don't just go to coffee? How about we have coffee and read a book? You know, um, now it's my responsibility to do that with my girls. When I see it, I say something, you know. I know that's like, if you see something, say something. Totally different thing. But, you know, when I see it happening, I don't allow it. Um, and so I got off my back, basically, because that's what I did, because it's what I knew. And after some life happened at 5.5 years, I made a decision to go back out. I didn't slip. It wasn't an oops. It wasn't like nobody slipped anything into my drink. I drove to a bar because the gals from work were like, we're going to happy hour. Want to go? Yeah, I want to go because I'm fucking miserable. I did not get sober to be miserable. And um and I drove to a bar and the girls from work who aren't anything like us had an hour. They had happy hour. I was not happy and I did not have an hour. I shut that bar down and then I stayed. And within 45 days, I lost my apartment because you have to pay rent. I forgot about that. I told my boss how he should run his business. He didn't ask. Not once was he like, hey, Brynna, how do you think it's going? I told him anyway, and he was like, give me a minute. And he walked over with a box of like the copy paper box, but it was empty. And he said, here, clean out your desk. I thought he was moving me up. He was moving me out. And and I called my mom who had discovered Al-Anon. Thank God for that sister program. They taught her a new thing. It's called the word no. They broke her. It was so rude. And today my mom's a black belt in Al-Anon. I love that for her. Um, and sometimes it still sucks because I'm like, hey, mom. And she's like, no, I love you. Bye. um, but it still works for her. And she still goes to meetings every once in a while, you know. And and I called and I said, I'm going to try some controlled drinking because the book says so. And what I have found is if you want evidence to stay sober, it's in our literature. And if you want evidence to get drunk, that's in there too. I'm not going to do it for you, you know. I don't do this for my sponsees. I do it with them. It's their sobriety. I have 100 my success rate sponsoring people is 100% because I'm still here. My sponsees, I can't say that for them, you know. I'll walk with, but I won't walk for, you know. And so I tried some controlled drinking for like 3 days. It was so hard. And then and I found a bar that would take my chips, and every year chip that I turned in, I got a shot for every year. 5 years is a lot of shots, you know. And so I made it back to Alcoholics Anonymous. It was not fun anymore. I learned the difference between humiliation and humility because I thought they were one and the same. I did not know that. Um, I slid down a nightclub floor stairway in San Francisco one more time. It was not a new occurrence. I had done that more than once because A, I'm clumsy, and B, I was drunk. And I went there to celebrate my 21st birthday. It was a 21 and over club that I had been going to for about 6 years. And surprise, I was underage. And I'm a bit of an OCD germaphobe, and so when I found myself coming to on the floor of the bathroom in the nightclub in San Francisco, I was grossed out on many levels. And do you remember the steel doors in nightclubs? It I was in the bathroom vomiting, and I'm a nose vomiter when I drink. So like burns going in, burns even more coming out. And I was nose vomiting. I see some nodding heads, so I feel like I'm not alone. Thank you. I appreciate that. Um and and I'm there focusing, and I have a lot of hair, so I'm holding my hair back. It was a lot was happening and trying not to touch anything, but there's no way around it. And that steel door cleared up for just a second and became a bit of a mirror for me. Now, I know I was hallucinating, but still. Um, and I heard it wasn't my own voice. It was something bigger than me. And I heard what I choose to believe was the voice of God. Um, and I'm not a person who hears voices. So I was like, huh, who dat? And it was like, okay, this is what it's going to be like every day from here forward. if you don't change things. You're not going to die from your alcoholism. This is every single day from here forward. You might kill other people, but you're not going to die from this. So you have two choices. Get up, go home, and get back to Alcoholics Anonymous because you know exactly where to go, or keep drinking the way you're drinking. You're going to maim yourself and kill other people. You're going to annihilate the relationships in your life because I don't just hurt people. I don't just cause a little bit of harm. I annihilate the people I love. Um, like I'm not a physical fighter. I'm too tiny and I like my nails way too much. Like, so I'm not going to get in a fist fight, but I will cut people to shreds with my tongue. And I like I knew that that was it. And I believe in my heart of hearts that that's when I took my first step. Was drunk on the floor at the Palladium nightclub in San Francisco next to the Hustler Club. Like go 90s. Woo. And then it fogged up again. I vomited again. And my angel, my protector, was my best friend. We are still in contact today, even though I destroyed that relationship because you guys taught me how to fix that shit. Her name's Jeannie. She is not one of us, but she's been by my side since we were 18 years old. And she watched me walk through all of that. She met me sober, then got to know me drunk, and got to see me then get sober again. And she drove me home that night to make sure I made it home without a stranger, because I love to sleep with strangers. Oh my God. Like I was like, this is exciting. Let's see how many people I can sleep with while I'm drunk. Um, because I thought I was friendly. I was just a whore. I drank like a fish and I acted like a whore. And because I had no self-respect. Um, Turns out I had a God-shaped hole that I would fill with men, with food, with shoes, with anything. And she got me home safe that night. And I showed up at my parents' house. That happened to be New Year's Eve. I did not make a resolution. I hit bottom when I fucking hit bottom. It was a Friday night. That's it, you know? And I got to my parents' house that next morning on January 1st, and I was still drunk from the night before, and my mom took my keys away. And she said, the fellowship will be there in the morning. We love you. Take a nap. And when I came to the next day, um, I walked into the Tri Valley Fellowship in Pleasanton, California, and I got to get sober again. I didn't have to. I got to. That was my window. Um, I believe that you get one or two windows. I know that I can get drunk again at any time I want. I mean, there's a pot shop at the end of my block going that way, and then going that way, there's a taco stand. I love Portland. Um, I just don't choose to do that, because I don't know if I have another window of recovery. I don't know if I would ever make it back. And so that started me getting back. And what happened for me is that I walked into the fellowship and there was a woman sitting there. Well, she happened to be the manager of the fellowship that was in Pleasanton at the time. And and she looked me up and down and she said, "Oh my God, when did you last eat? When did you shower? When did you sleep?" And I was like, I am offended. Like, oh my God, I'm so offended. And she was right. I hadn't actually slept. I hadn't really showered. I think I took a whore bath, just do the pits and stuff, just the bits. And I hadn't had a good meal in a really long time. And she said, "You have 1 hour, go home, get your big book, get a notebook, get some food, change your clothes, get your ass back here. And I know where you live." And I was like, oh, shit. And I forgot that she actually did because I used to date her son. And I was like, ruh-roh. So she was not the right person to sponsor me because no, what she was the right person to do was take me through steps 1 through 5 that day. So if you hear nothing else from what I have to say, it does not take 6 fucking years to work the steps. It doesn't take 6 months. It takes 6 hours. If you're dying from alcoholism, it takes 6 hours, a pen, and somebody who knows the big book. You know, we broke to go to a meeting, and that was it. And then she sent me on my way to go home to finish what I thought was the sixth step because I hadn't actually read the book before. And it's the end of the fifth step when you go home and you sit for an hour and you reflect back on the first 5 steps and then you complete the fifth step. And I was like, oh, look at that. They're in order. And then they say things like, now we are at the fifth step. Now we are at the sixth step. We have now completed step 7. And I'm like, look at that. It makes taking other, my newcomers through the book so simple. I'm like, when it says we do, we do. When it says we ask, that's a prayer. I'm like, we just look for the fucking directions. I don't have to invent anything. I don't need a workbook. I don't need a Hazelden packet. Not knocking Hazelden. They're lovely. I didn't go there. Like I just follow the directions in the book. I just follow what's in black and white and I just do what I'm told. Um, what happened for me since then is my life changed completely. I started developing a relationship with a God that I can do business with. For me, it's God with a little g. I don't do the God with a big G. It's too scary. Um, I had to learn faith in a way that made sense to me. And I have a sponsor who she explains things that make sense in my head. Like I didn't understand faith. And she was like, every single time you picked up a drink, or I used alcohol and all of her cousins. So she was like, every time you picked up alcohol or one of her cousins, um, did you have faith that it would get you there? And I was like, well, yeah, of course I did. She's like, ha, let's start there. You understand faith. Now let's work on belief. And I was like, wait, what? When she put it to me that way, it became something I could understand and build on because I was so angry at a God that had been taught to me in a language I didn't understand. And I was like, well, shit, you broke it down. You took away that obstacle. Thank you. And then she gave me a sentence and was like, okay, I want you to put this on your mirror and say it every day. And for 3 weeks, I said a sentence every day. And she's like, how's that prayer going? And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, put God at the start of the sentence and amen at the end. And I was like, what? She's like, have you noticed you've been saying the Serenity prayer, but in chunks? And I was like, what? She's like, oh, honey, we broke it out and broke it down. And you've been doing a sentence in the morning when you brush your teeth, and then a sentence at dinner, and then one at the end of the day. And I was like, oh, you sneaky bitch. Like, look at that. She's like, prayer. I had no idea. And she broke down things in how it works. Like when it says we asked with complete abandon, she's like, we asked, it's prayer. And I was like, wait, what? You know, I had somebody actually break down the big book for me and the prayers. And when I read the book, I look for 5 things. I look for prayers, promises, principles, musts, and death sentences. Anybody who tells you there's no musts in Alcoholics Anonymous has not read the fucking literature. They're all over the book. Sorry, I get really passionate about the literature of Alcoholics Anonymous because it saved my life. Um, it's not a novel. I start my sponsees off with, you're not comfortable reading the book. Okay, pick 2 pages at the back. If it sucks you in, finish the story. And now my sponsees are calling me, oh my God, I read this thing. And I'm like, wait, which edition are you in? Shit, I need to read that. I'm like, okay, tell me about it, and maybe check out this one. And I'll like throw one out there. I'm like, you can find it online on the GSO website. Because the literature is what has saved my bacon when I can't get a hold of anybody, you know? Um, So I developed a relationship with a God that I can do business with. The God that I walked in here with is not the God that I have today. I've developed a relationship. And it turns out that a relationship takes work. And there are days that we need anger management classes between me and God. And I love going to a beach or to the shore or somewhere where I can put my hood up, which in Portland is not a big deal because it rains all the time. So I put my hood up and I yell. People think I'm singing badly, but I yell. I have conversations with God and I tell God what I'm thinking. And the good news, God is not talking back to me. So, and then I shut up and I listen, and I didn't know about meditation that it doesn't have to be quieting the mind. I had no idea because I do not have a quiet mind. My mind never shuts off. And it turns out that that's okay. I found a meditation teacher within our rooms who taught me a way to meditate twice a day for 20 minutes. Turns out it's an ancient freaking way to meditate. And I acknowledge my thoughts and I go, okay, hi thought, back to my mantra. And I'm at about, I want to be a spiritual gangster and sound like I do this every single day and I'm amazing and you should follow me. No, I do it like 20% of the time because this is an honest program and I suck at it. So, I make mistakes. And when I'm like, oh yeah, I need to do that, I do it again. I start. And when I forget to pray, I start, I just start again. Um, what it's like now, right now sucks. Right now is not brilliant. Right now is not, I have a friend here in Oregon who, and I love her because she used to be like somebody that I was like, ooh, you're high up in GSO. She's like, yeah, somebody put me there. I left the room and they voluntold me. She was a um the Pacific trustee or something like that. And I learned what I got to learn from her is that it's not always rainbows and orgasms. And I was like, damn, I would like it to be rainbows and orgasms every day because I could picture that. And I was like, but it's not. Right now, it's dark out all the damn time. My boyfriend is out of town and has been for a really long time, and I'm sad. I miss him. And my alcoholism is trying to fucking kill me again. I isolate because that's where I'm comfortable. I don't grow when I'm comfortable. And, I want you guys to like me and I want you to think that I'm amazing and doing wonderful and things are great and rosy and wonderful. And that's not the truth. The truth is that the last 2 weeks, I've rarely gotten out of bed because I'm sad. And that's okay. I show up for my sponsees anyway. I go to my morning meeting anyway because I've developed smart feet. And that it's okay to have a feeling because my feelings are not facts. I don't make decisions based on how I feel. And when we talk about the suffering alcoholic, it's not always the newcomer. We need to check on people who have been around the rooms for a long time, and the only reason that I'm in the literature right now is as strongly as I am is because I'm sponsoring 3 fucking newcomers because they are saving my life. They are my lifeline to Alcoholics Anonymous. And I forget that. I forget that people with long-term sobriety drop off like flies because this disease, people used to say, I used to hear it all the time. My disease is out in the parking lot doing push-ups. Mine's not, it's right here. And it's just as easy to pick up a drink as it is to pick up a bottle of water if I'm not treating my disease, and any part of me that leaves out the physical allergy to alcohol, I'm missing the point, and don't get me wrong, we are not a glum lot. I don't want this to be all mer mer. Like I have so much fun and I love to laugh, but also we go through phases. You know, I'm also seriously, did I just do that? Because if I do this on Zoom, we'll get clouds and rain. But we go through phases and it's okay. I just don't make decisions based on how I feel today. Because after this, because I put on a whole face of makeup, and don't get me wrong, it wasn't not for you guys, but I'm leaving my home tonight. I'm going to an in-person speaker meeting tonight because the guy who chaired the meeting that I secretary this morning, I was like, I will see you tonight, 7:30 at the speaker meeting, because I knew if I didn't say it out loud, I'm not accountable to anybody, you know? And so, like, I want to make sure I timed myself. I think I have like 5 minutes left. I, uh, I've had, like, I'm in a low spot. So fucking what? I'll be fine as long as my sponsor, I get current with my sponsor. Like I said, we missed our appointment on Thursday, which sucked. It happens. We have a sponsee meeting tomorrow morning at 11. And then um, I get my ass out of my house because my disease wants me isolated and alone. And that I'm current with my sponsees. And I also don't unburden myself on them. It's not their problem. I don't get to use when they call me, when they go, how are you? I don't, blah, 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 because it's their time. When they call me, it's about them, and I want to talk a little bit about our triangle. Because all I did my first go, thank you. All I did my first go round was fellowship. And I used to hear things like meeting makers make it. Not if that's all they're doing. All they're doing is going to meetings. And they're usually the cacklers in the back. My recovery is based in the steps, the traditions, and the concepts. I have a favorite concept. Like, I've become an AA dork. I love that I have a favorite concept. My favorite principle within the concepts is that I have the right to be wrong. Because as I learn new things and then I do better. Once I know better, I get to do better. My favorite tradition is about unity. It's the first tradition. Because without you guys, I'm not here. So if AA doesn't continue doing what we do best, uh-oh, we're in trouble, So I tell my girls, you can tell me anything, but I'm going to keep going. And what step are we on around that? Do we need to talk about that around a step? Like, I'm not a marriage counselor. I'm not married. Never have been. Please don't ask me advice about a marriage. I don't have kids, but I can tell you a bunch of stuff about my cat. Like, I I don't know shit about shit. I know about my experience. I can tell you about that in Alcoholics Anonymous, but other than that, like, my favorite line in the doctor's opinion is you can trust anything they say about themselves. Anything else, call somebody else, you know. That's paraphrasing, of course. Service, I have a job in Alcoholics Anonymous. If you don't have one, please go to your local home group, whatever your home group is, and say, I need a job. And then leave the room and see what you get when you come back. It's like service roulette. Um, and unity, get road dogs. Is that even still a term? Road dogs. Get a road dog. That would be somebody in your cohort, in your same, I just defined it. Oh my God. Like, I had road dogs. We would get in the car together. It's how I saw Canada, Mexico, California, and Oregon. We were just like, I don't know, it's Friday night. What do you want to do? We were those vultures from Disney. I don't know, what do you want to do? I don't know, what do you want to do? And we were like, I don't know, let's drive to Canada. It was a little easier back then, but anyway, and we would mob a meeting. we would just get like 30 of us and mob a meeting. You can do that on Zoom, like, hey, let's all go to this address. And we would go have Denny's. How many Grand Slams can one person eat? Oh my God. Like a lot, a lot. And, do I have time to read something real quick? Great. I'm going to read you my favorite story. And I see a lot of people who have a lot of time, way more time than I do. So thank you for paving the way for me. I know how to respect my elders. As I say elders, I need to get my readers on. So my favorite story in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous is in the third edition, which just makes my newbies so angry because they can't find it. And I'm like, look for it, find it. They have to Google it.
Got about 2 minutes, honey.
Perfect. I will read fast. I'll just read part of it. This is from page 476 in the third edition. And this sums up how I feel about Alcoholics Anonymous as well. It's from the story Join the Tribe. So some of you, I'm sure, have read it or know it, or if not, welcome to this story. Anyway, this is part of it, the last part of it. Page 476. Miracles happen all time in AA. 2 years later, my brother take Tall Man to first AA meeting. Tall Man was blind, but soon he see. He stay sober. Start group on reservation and carry message. Help start other groups all over Maritimes and New England. He was old, but now he grow young with new life in AA and travel all time. When he speak from heart, big men cry. Words of truth and love are strong medicine. Tall Man die 5 years ago, a sober, peaceful, happy man. Main newsletter, Boomerang, say, with tireless devotion and humility, this venerable Indian gentleman traveled thousands of miles, humbly pleading for sobriety. He planted many seeds, and it will be many moons before another rises to walk in his shoes. Tall Man now see Great Spirit in big group in sky. To find work, I have traveled much. At every place, I find AA group first. I keep it simple, go to many meetings, carry message to those who listen. To me, program is spiritual. I feel great spirit at all meetings. And when talk to AA friends, I know peace. How, they ask me, I say, just let it happen. This sober Indian say to sick, red-eyed alcoholic who want good medicine, put cork in bottle. No drunk hopeless if he want to follow guide along right trail. Go to AA meetings. Listen, not just hear noise. Get sponsor and phone numbers. Call friend in AA when bad thoughts come. Let group spirit of love and understanding protect you. Take my hand. Walk with me up 12 steps of AA to peace. To Indians I say, don't be afraid to join AA. I once hear people say only Indians crazy when drunk. If so, AA full of Indians. Join the tribe. Thank you for being part of my tribe.
Yay.